All right, you guys. What up? What up? What up? Welcome to the channel. If you're new, don't be. Go ahead and click that subscribe button to be a part of the Witness Gang, to join the Witness Nation. Now let's get into this, shall we? Hello, you guys, and welcome to the channel. If you're new, don't be. Go ahead. I'm Whitney. Keep it cute. Get the boot. All right. Welcome, you guys, to Whitney DTV. Disclaimer. This platform discusses any and all information that has been known to the public in any way. Now, I am not a journalist. I am a commentator. Okay? The views and opinions expressed on this video or in this video and on Whitney D TV's YouTube channel do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Whitney D and Whitney D's YouTube channel. Now, all topics are for entertainment purposes only, comedy, satire, TV, mature rated. Viewers' discretion is advised, and there is highly advised. Trigger warning now. This is very graphic detailing in regards to the R.Kelly trial. Okay, so all commentary is alleged, but very real and real indeed. As I stated, we are reading transcripts. Okay, and whew, yeah, it's been very interesting, the information that we've learned, and we're going to get into all of that. But first, let me welcome you guys. Welcome. Welcome to Evidence Over Emotions, the road to Illinois trial for our Kelly series. Okay, where are you guys tuning in from? Are you on Facebook? Are you viewing on Twitter? Are you on my what is it? Twitch. Okay. Or are you viewing here on YouTube? Let me know. Or you can get a little more deeper with it. You can let me know what city and or state that you guys are tuning in from. And I would love, this is something new, but I would love to know what time it is where you're at. Okay. Let me know what time it is that you guys are tuning in from. If I did this right, I'm releasing this in the morning. Okay. I'm trying to get it done in the morning. So by the time that I read with you guys live, we will be further into the transcripts. Now we are like 3 weeks now into this trial, and I think we're still on week 1. Okay, but not for nothing. That don't matter. I'm going to keep you guys abreast with current updates in regards to the trial that is transpiring right now. And then we're just going to continue to read these transcripts till they're all read. Okay, it's simple as that. So make sure you keep it cute. Okay, now we're talking about R. Kelly, the disgraced R&B singer. For many of you guys that are still up his behind, even hearing all the detailings that we've heard, but not for nothing. Make sure that you keep it cute. Okay, or you will get the boot. You'll get kicked on up out of here. Okay, be blocked and be blessed. All right. But if you like what you hear, make sure you like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And all that's free. All right. But what is not free is joining the greatest show here on YouTube. Okay. You can click the link that's in the chat, or you can find it in the description box upon the ending of this video. Or you can click out that chat, and you can go ahead and click that button JOIN and join, and you'll hear and see further information in regards to doing so. Okay. Now, if you like to tip the hostess with the most, you can do so by sending me a super chat, or you can, ring my bell. Okay, with my cash app, Whitney DTV 87. All right. Now, 100% of your support goes back into the channel via Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle. All the information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen right now as we speak. Now, if you got a tip in regards to this trial, or you would like to send me transcripts, or you just want to send me an article, send it to my email. I promise you, I'll respond. I tell you thank you and all of that jazz. Okay. All right. Shouts out to everybody that's in the chat. Look, child, like my voice, I woke up and my throat was like crunchy. And I was telling my husband, I was like, I don't know if it's our filters that we need to change, or if it's tis the freaking season, but not for nothing. I am just over these whacked out allergies that I have going on in there in my throat. So I'm just like, child, I don't know what's going on. Okay, so I'm not unfortunately gonna be able to bring you guys an update in regards to the trial. You know what? Let me see something here. If I do, it's gonna be old. So, you know what? No, I'm not gonna do that. What I was gonna do is give y'all an update, but I'm gonna bring it when we go live. All right. So hold on tight because by then we'll have a little more update because they'll probably be in the thick of it, by the time that I go live with you guys on today. Okay. All right. So in the meantime, between time, let's go ahead and get into these transcripts. Now, where we left off at, what we heard was, um, gosh, more depiction of her sexual experiences with R. Kelly. How she described the infamous one that was in the cabin, the log cabin area, room or whatever in the basement. She describes that chain of events. She describes them doing it in his home, and in the studio, of course. And she describes her encounter with Lisa Van Allen. All right, as we heard, was 18 at the time. I mean, it doesn't really matter if she was 17 or 18, like we heard with her testimony. She wasn't saying that she was a victim in the sense of taking him to court. She's been a witness to, yeah, I did mess with her, and it was by the way of R. Kelly. I was over the consenting age, So I don't understand why people are like, oh, and you were all up on the documentary. Okay. Like I don't get that. And what's really irritating me is everybody now turning on Sparkle as if she wasn't the one that really catapulted all this. And I don't think anybody has sat back and actually asked themselves, now, if she knew she played a part in all of this, why put the spotlight on this situation? Why not just, yeah, just close your mouth, right? I mean, what is she getting from all of this by her initiating all of it, quote unquote, right? That's the reason why I did the whole video in regards to Sparkle being the new Miss Alice. It's like, oh, how easily we forget we met these parents on Surviving R. Kelly, but we want to pick everything apart when we're, not in not in good, relations with them or whatever the case may be. And it's just like, it's like, so what? This came across the stand. I be trying to tell people everything that come across the stand isn't truthful, but it is factual. And that's a difference. Okay. There's a major difference between hearing is a difference. Sorry, y'all. It's a difference between what comes across the pulpit as being a pulpit. Gosh darn it. I'm thinking of church, y'all. It's Sunday for me right now. Um, it's a difference between, what comes across the stand, and like I tell you guys, is that what you gotta understand is what you can prove to be factual. Okay. Everybody's going to tell their truth, which is their experiences, what they perceive something to be, what it was, or whatever the case may be. Hell, we've heard all this testimony of how these girls felt like they were in love with this man. But us listening to what they went through, we're like, hell no, that's not love. But they believed it. That's their truth. That's their perspective of their experiences. So I'm going to sit here and say on the outside looking in, because my mind is geared a little differently. Oh, no, that didn't happen. No, I'm going to say, dang, that's messed up. But how do we know this to be factual? Okay, well, you remember this, and the third? Yeah, I was there, this, and then. You feel me? I don't know. I guess I use so much common sense, not for nothing, y'all. But yeah, that's where we left off at, hearing the experience of her and Lisa Van Allen. And it was her having sexual contact with her by way of R. Kelly. Um, both have said that. Reshonda said it was because of R. Kelly introducing her into the fold of the sexual experiences they were having. Lisa Van Allen said the same thing because of R. Kelly, regardless if she knew the girl age or not. And is it illegal? Absolutely. Do I feel as though Lisa Van Allen should be held accountable? Yes. I don't care what you say. Just as well as I feel like Joy and anybody else who messed around with an underage child in that point. So And y'all, and I keep that same energy for everybody that played a part. We're not gonna just pick and choose who we want to say, well, they should be held accountable. Oh no, they were a victim. Okay. I mean, if you ask me, let me blow your minds right now. Anybody that was in the vicinity of this man was a victim. Parents, co-workers, workers, employees, mama, daddy, sister, brother, cousin, lovers, ex-lovers, or whatever the case may be. If you ask me, everybody was a victim to this man. Everybody. Because let's be very, very real and clear. He's R. Kelly at the end of the day. He's R. Kelly. So that's just like if Beyonce, okay, you know what I'm saying, met these women, men or whatever. There you're gonna that's Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? This was R. Kelly before we even knew about his endeavors. Okay. Let's just be very clear. All right. Let's stop faking the funk. Okay. Not for nothing. Let's go ahead and get into this article. I mean, not article. Let's go ahead and get into these transcripts. Okay. I just wanted to get everybody abreast as to where we left off at and sorry, y'all, what that means for us and where we're at. Okay. So, sharing the screen with you guys right now. And we're going to go ahead and get into it. I pray that everybody is caught up. Okay. If you are not, again, like I said, catch the other videos. Okay. All right, you guys. So we are leaving off on page 782. We start at 783 with the continuation of Reshonda's testimony. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right. Do you recall a specific instance where you were engaging in sexual activity with Lisa Van Allen and Robert Kelly in the wood panel? Sorry, in that log cabin room on the jacuzzi in that area. Yes. Did that occur? Did that happen on more than one occasion in the log cabin room with Lisa Van Allen and Robert Kelly? Yes. And was there recordings of that had occurred on more than one occasion? Again, the same room, the same age. Yes. What, if anything, do you know about what happened to the recordings that were made at the time that they were made? I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? What, if anything, do you know about what happened to the actual like cassette recordings you had? Let me take it back a little bit. You had testified earlier when I said, how did you know? How did he set up the camera? And you said that he put a tape in. Is that what you said? And you would see the tape go in and then you start engaging in sex acts. What, if anything, happened if you know to those tapes? I'm going to object to the foundation. There's multiple tapes that have been referenced. So, okay, what are we talking about? When Mr. Kelly recorded you having sexual intercourse and he would use a tape, objection. She actually didn't testify that there was sexual intercourse. That is misstating her testimony. I can restate the question, Your Honor. I'm not sure what are we talk which one are we talking about here? Any tape, all tapes, or any tapes or specific tapes? Let's start with these specific tapes with videos 1, 2, and 3 that we talked about. And you were engaging in sex acts, correct? Not sexual intercourse because you were 14 years old, correct? Yes. So what happened to those tapes? Video 1, 2, and 3, like where would they be kept if you know? They were kept in a gym bag or in the log cabin area of the basement. Mm. Let me know what rings a bell to you guys. Let me see if y'all just like, ooh, doesn't this sound familiar in a gym bag? Okay, mind you, do the math. When we heard New Yorkers, that's what I'm saying. This is so pivotal, just pivotal. I think I'm saying that right. Anyways, this is just so important, okay? Because New York is like the future, if you will, or the present, if you will, experiences in regards to R. Kelly. What makes it so validated, if you will, the whole situation with R. Kelly. And here you have a blast from the past with Illinois, right? So the reason why I dissect these transcripts like I do is because I want to see the similarities. I don't want to just read through them. Now I'm gonna read through them, but I want to be able to, that sounds familiar. And the reason why it's interesting and intriguing to me is because of generational changes and the differences. Okay. Here we have a 37-year-old woman now who was 14 years old at the time that was involved with R. Kelly, who Azriel was not even born. Okay, she wasn't even a thought back then. Okay. And we've heard her with the rest of them say how he carried a gym bag with cassette with deep now this time was iPads. You know what I'm saying? And all that. You know what I'm saying? And iPads, iPhones, and all that stuff like that. But back then, he carried the VHSs. You know what I'm saying? In a gym bag. And how do you know that? Because I would see where he put them. And what would you see? Describe what you saw. There were like on the shelves, like where the TV was, there were like several shelves. So they would be like kept behind certain decor in that area, or if we were finishing up, he would put them in his gym bag, or I would see him take them. When you say finishing up, what do you mean? After we were done recording. And you said, and he put them in a gym bag? Yes. All right. And to be clear, when you were describing videos on a shelf, did you know what all of those videos were or are? I had a pretty good idea, but you didn't know for sure. No. You saw a collection of videos. Is that right? Yes. And the same thing for the gym bag that you just described. What was in the gym bag? I'm not exactly sure what was in the bag, but I did see him put tapes in the bag before. And the tapes you are talking about, excuse me now, are the tapes that you just said when you finished up. He would put it in a gym bag. Yes. Who else did you see, if anyone, handling the gym bag? June. Who? June. Is June this individual's nickname or his true name? That's the name that I know him by. Yes. Do you know him by any other names? Yes. What other names? Milton. Ooh, yo. Hey, yo, Milton. Hey, yo, Mr. Brown. I'm an idiot. You're an idiot. Yeah, she just said that you basically was the handler of some of the underage videos. Yeah, she said basically that you were the one of the people handling child pornography. You know, the stuff that you said that you had no idea about, that you would just, doing your job. Well, yeah, she named you, buddy. Do you know his last name? Brown. Did you ever have any conversation with Mr. Brown about what was in the gym bag? No. If you saw Mr. Brown in the courtroom today, if you saw him today, would you be able to recognize him? Yes. Your Honor, we'd like to ask if everybody in the courtroom, take your mask off, please. Jane, I'd like you to take a look around the courtroom. And if you see Mr. Brown, could you please describe an article of clothing that he's wearing and where he is located in the courtroom? He's to the he's directly in front of me with a burgundy tie. Your Honor, can the record reflect that Jane has identified Milton Brown, the defendant? All right, she's identified him. Thank you. So at this point, we were talking about the tapes and those, sorry, not the tapes, those videos, 1, 2, and 3 that we were discussing. You were 14 years old in those, correct? When you were 14, 15, 16 years old. Did you tell anyone other than Pinky or Brittany about sexual encounters with Robert Kelly? No. I like to direct your attention to April 2000. Do you recall being interviewed or spoken to by people from the Department of Children and Family Services? Yes. What do you recall about the encounter? There was an allegation made about the nature of excuse me, the nature of Robert and I's relationship, and they wanted to come out and ask questions to investigate if there was anything sexual happening between us. And in 2000, April 2000, you were still 15. Is that right? You turned 16 in I'm sorry, in September of 2000. Is that right? Yes. Okay, so April 2000, you were 15 years old. What was your response to the questioning from DC, from the Department of Children and Family Services about their allegations? I denied it. Why did you deny it? I was afraid that something bad would happen to Robert. He really instilled that in me. If anybody found out about the nature of our relationship, that things would be really bad for him. And I wanted to protect him. So I did everything I could to keep that a secret. So you were, just to be clear, you were untruthful with the Department of Children and Family Services. Is that right? Yes. And you testified that you wanted to protect him. Yes. Why did you want to protect him? Well, again, I did look up to him. I didn't want to see anything bad happen to him. And at this point, with the way things were happening between us, I was also afraid. Afraid of what? I didn't want to upset him. I didn't want to trigger anything. And I didn't want to expose what was happening between us. Did you want to keep your relationship interact intact? I did. Now, at this time, again, this is April of 2000, you were 15 years old. Did you tell your parents about what was happening between you and Robert Kelly? No. Why? Because that was something that I would take to my grave. I was not going to reveal that to anybody after many questions, many conversations of him drilling how important it was that he would be in big trouble if anybody found out about this. So I looked at it as I was protecting him. Did you feel comfortable telling your parents that you were engaging in sexual activity with Robert Kelly at that time? Again, this is April of 2000. No. Why? Because I knew it was something they wouldn't approve of. Now, after that, you were approached and questioned by Department of Children and Family Services. You were later questioned by Chicago Police Department officers. Is that correct? Yes. And what were they asking you about? What were they questioning you about? Robert and I's relationship. Have we had any sexual contact with each other? What was your response to that questioning? No. Why did you respond that way? Because again, I just it was embedded in me that this could never come out, and I didn't want my parents to find out either. So I was doing everything I could to keep it a secret. Did you tell Mr. Kelly about CPD questioning you? Yes. What was his response? He was just like asking what type of questions they were asking me how did I answer the questions, and he was telling me that I did a good job and that I handled everything correctly. Again, so now we're talking about the time of when CPD was questioning you. So this was sometime after you had turned 15. How did you feel about Mr. Kelly at this time? Can you repeat the question for me one more time? Around the time of the CPD questioning, how did you feel about Robert Kelly at that time? I cared for him. Emotionally, I cared for him. So around this time again, I'll direct your attention to some other allegations that you learned about. So I'm directing your attention to late 2001, early 2002, and how old were you during that time? So in 2001, how old did you turn? I was about 16. So we just talked about in 2000, you turned 16. So in 2001, you would have turned 17 years old. Yes. Okay. And so late 2001, early 2002, during that time frame when you were 17 years old, what, if anything, did you learn about from what, if anything, did you learn about additional allegations from Stephanie, your aunt? Hmm. That there was a sex tape leaked that was including Robert and I. That was including who? Robert and I. So at this time again, late 2001, early 2002, did you see this recording? Did you know what it was? I heard things about it, but I never saw it. What, if anything, did you learn about this sex tape from Stephanie? That it had been made public and that there was sexual engagement between Robert and I on the tape, and that was pretty much it. So at this point, did you discuss this with any of your family members? No. Did you discuss this, the existence, or that there was rumors, or that there was a tape that had been surfaced that showed you engaging in sex acts with Robert Kelly? Did you, at that moment, did you talk to any of your family members about it? No. Did your parents question you about it? Yes. And what, if anything, did they say? They were asking me, "Is this true?" They were asking me what was about the nature of Robert and I's relationship, and I denied everything. I'm sorry. I didn't hear the last part. They were asking me if the tape did include us, and they were inquiring about the nature of Robert and I's relationship. And I, of course, I denied everything. Why do you say, "Of course, I denied everything"? The "of course," because it was instilled in me not to admit that to anybody, and that's exactly what I did. Instilled by whom? Robert. So what was your reaction to hearing this news or rumors that this videotape and had surfaced that possibly showed you and Mr. Kelly engaged in sex acts? I was extremely scared. Why were you scared? Um, of the possibility that it was true. Um, I was scared that my parents were going to find out and about our relationship, and I was also afraid of what would happen to him. Did you talk to Mr. Kelly about it? Yes. What were your conversations? He was just continuing to stress how important it was that I kept this important information a secret about our relationship, and that I had to be very firm and confident when speaking to people about it and to continue to deny. And what was his reaction to the news that there may be a tape that others had that showed you and Mr. Kelly engaging in sex acts? He seemed afraid as well. I'm sorry. He seemed afraid or concerned as well. So, early 2002, did you have a conversation in person with Mr. Kelly about these allegations that there was a sex um that there was a tape out there showing the two of you engaged in sex acts? Yes. Who was involved in that meeting? It was my mom, my dad, and Robert and myself. And who set up this meeting, if you know? Daryl. Woohoo! Hello. Hello. Oh, Mr. Darrell.
I'm an idiot. You're an idiot.
Yeah, there goes your alibi of not knowing what was going on either, sir. Child. Objection for foundation, Judge. I can ask her. How do you know that Mr. David set up this meeting? The conversations that Robert and I had prior to this, and just knowing that he was involved in the game plan that was about to take place as far as the approach. Oop, 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 oop. How about that? Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So, where did this meeting take place? It was at a hotel in Oak Park. Okay, and I believe you had said the person that set it up, you believed was Daryl. Did you say that? Yes. And do you know what his last name is? McDavid. If you were to see Daryl McDavid today, would you be able to identify him? Yes. Your Honor, I'd ask if you could ask the courtroom to remove their masks. Judge will stipulate. All right. It's stipulated that she identifies Mr. McDavid. So prior to this meeting in Oak Park that you're talking about, how did you feel about, like, what was your feelings going into this meeting? I was extremely scared. Um, why were you scared? because my parents were going to finally find out that I had been engaging in sexual activity with Robert. Why did you have the impression that your parents were going to find out at this meeting? Because in a prior conversation that Robert and I had, he finally admitted to me that it was true, that there was a tape leak between us and it was about to become legal. So he needed to let my parents know to get them on board with further approaches. Okay, so let's back up. So you said, he said that that was about to become legal. Is that what you said? Yes. What did you understand that to mean? Well, I knew that they were planning on turning the tape over to the authorities. Who was? Stephanie or whomever had the possession of the tape? Okay, so then when you said things were going to get legal, what does that mean to you? He just basically explained to me that things were about to go to the next level as far as authorities becoming involved. So I needed to let my parents know that we did have a sexual relationship because they were going to find out, confirmed through the authorities. You had said that he finally let me know that the tape had been leaked. What are you talking about? He finally let me know. When it was originally presented to me, it was as if it was speculation. They weren't sure if the tape was leaked or not. So he was presenting it to me through conversation that it was a possibility, but not for certain. Okay, so then when you say he confirmed, what did that basically um they weren't able to retrieve the tape back, so that it was going to become a very public and it was going to be turned over to a legal team. And then you also said you said that said that this was about to become a situation that your parents needed to know about now. Yes. Okay. And why would your parents need to know now about the sexual relationship that you two were having? He wanted to let them know that it was true, and it was also an effort to get them to be objection to her speculating as to Mr. Kelly's state of mind. If she has firsthand knowledge, she could say what he said, but not what she thinks he thought. So also staying the objection, you can reframe the question. What did he say about why your parents needed to become involved? Because he wanted them on his team as far as handling the legal aspects of what was about to take place. Okay, so we were talking about this. Should we take a break? In about 15 minutes, we'll do it. Okay, half past. Okay, Your Honor. So we were talking about this in the lead up to this meeting that you were talking about that occurred in Oak Park. So who attended this meeting? It was me, my mom, my dad, and Robert. Okay. And again, we had talked about it a little bit earlier. So to re reorient reorient ourselves, um We were talking about early 2002. Is that correct? That's when this meeting occurred? Yes. You had mentioned that Mr. McDavid had set it up, but was Mr. McDavid there, present at this meeting? I can't remember if he was there or not. You don't know one way or the other whether he was there? No. What happened when you and your did you arrive at the meeting with your parents? Yes. What happened when you arrived with your parents? My dad and Robert stepped away in a room, like in a we were kind of my mom and I were kind of waiting on one side and they were talking in another room, and I just remember my dad storming out and being upset, and he told my mom that it was true, that there was a videotape of Robert and I, and he was crying and he was upset. And we got on the elevator, and Robert was begging for his forgiveness and pleading to don't turn on him and all of that. And my dad, I remember his words very clearly saying, "I'm going to object to hearsay as to his what the father said, but this is not hearsay. It's a statement, a fact. What she heard, overruled." Go ahead. He just was saying, "I can't help you. I can't help you." And we got our belongings and we left. So let's back up a little bit. So what happened first was your father and Mr. Kelly were off having a conversation by themselves. Is that correct? Yes. Do you know exactly what was said during that conversation between the two of them? No. When they joined, came back and joined you and your mother, was your how was your father's emotional state at that point? It was hysterical. What did you observe about Robert Kelly at this moment? What was he doing? He was crying. He was sincere. I remember him dropping to his knees and grabbing his head and apologizing profusely and just asking for my dad's forgiveness. What were you and your mother doing at this point? We were crying. We were emotional. Why were you crying and emotional? Because I was embarrassed for lying to my parents. They finally understood everything was true, and it was just my first um, admittance to them as far as what was happening, and I was also afraid and fearful for what was going to happen to Robert. What, if anything, did you communicate about your feelings for Robert in that meeting? I was very emotional and I was telling them how much I care for him and how much I loved him and how much he loved me. And I was on his side as far as begging for their forgiveness and just pleading for them not to turn on him or go against him. You said then you all got to the elevator. Who was making their way to the elevator? Me, my dad, and my mom. Did Mr. Kelly with you all when you were leaving? Yes. Um, he was walking out because he was still trying to have a conversation with my dad. What was he saying? He was just pleading for his forgiveness and just asking him not to turn on him. Was there a response at that time from your mom or dad about not turning on him? My dad, he was saying, "I can't help you." Um, and after you got in the meeting, excuse me, after you got to the elevator, did is that when you and your parents left? Yes. And did you have so in the days after the meeting, that conversations, if any, did you have with Mr. Kelly about what happened in the meeting? We were just talking about it was just like um, gauging, like, excuse me, how my parents were like responding to me at home. Um, has any other topics of conversations come up with about the tape or just really gauging what took place at the time and what was the environment like out after that. So to get this straight, he was asking you questions about what was happening on in the environment at your home. Is that what you're saying? Yes. What kind of questions? He would ask like how my parents were feeling. Could I get a feel for, their mentalities towards this situation and what did I think they were going to do and just reinforcing how important it was to now that we have admitted it to them to not admit it to anyone else. What, if anything, did he say about what you all had talked about before the meeting, which was letting your parents know in an effort to get them on his side? Objection to the foundation of the question, and the U.S. attorney keeps going back. Like, ask a question, get an answer, and then just continue to go. It's sorry. Let me see, where is it? Oh, yeah, 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 like, ask a question, get an answer, and then just continue to go back. It's communicative, communi communalative. It's communalative. It's been asked and answered. Let me read the question. I think she answered that before. I think it's correct, so I'll sustain the objection. So at some point, shortly after this meeting or in the weeks later followed the meeting, did you leave the country for a trip? Yes. Why did you leave the country? Because there was a lot of negative attention happening around the videotape, and Robert wanted us to leave the country to pretty much clear our heads, figure out what the approaches were going to be moving forward, and just to not have any attention on us or for us to be available or just around or like accessible. Available or accessible for what? Like the authorities or just press, things of that nature? Now, where did you go? Uh, to the Bahamas and Cancun, Mexico? Who went with you? My mom and dad. How long was the trip, if you recall? From what I remember, I want to say maybe 2 weeks. So, so just to put a bookmark between the time. So between the meeting and before you went on the trip, how were you interacting with your parents at that time? I was really shut down, really standoffish. I was told to make them feel uncomfortable so that they would not turn against him, and that's exactly what I did. Oh, yo, yo, this is so interesting. Okay, I'm gonna highlight this because I want to see where this goes. So basically, R. Kelly told her to make her parents uncomfortable so they wouldn't turn on her, turn on him. Okay, y'all remember that. Y'all remember that because I want to see where this goes. Who said you were to who I mean, you said you were told to make them feel uncomfortable. By whom? She says Robert. Okay. What types of things were you doing to create distance between you and your family? Your parents, I should say, your parents. I was not talking to them. What else? I would sleep in my closet, just like totally shut down from the world. So when you went on the trip, how were you interacting with your parents? Things started to pick up a little bit better. We started communicating a little bit better, a little bit more. They were trying to just understand what was happening with me. So it got a little bit better. Overall, how was the trip like? Was it a fun vacation or how was the time spent? It was not a fun vacation. It was not considered to be a vacation. It was literally us trying to understand all of the positions that we were in. And what do you mean by all of the positions that you were in? Well, I lied to my parents, and I was keeping that the nature of my relationship with Robert a secret. So they had to just digest all of that, and they had questions for me. So it was um it was really uncomfortable. Were you in touch with Mr. Kelly during this trip? Yes. How were you communicating? By phone? What was the nature of the conversations during the trip? Everything was pretty much revolved around how we were going to handle the videotape. And what do you mean how we were going to handle the videotape? Again, um, it was just him reinforcing how much this should be kept a secret. How I need to deny all of these allegations and not have certain conversations with certain people. Don't talk over the phone. Don't communicate with these people, with this person. It's about trust. It was just the nature of how to handle myself in this situation. Did you discuss your parent? Did you discuss your parents? Yes. What did you discuss about your parents? I just let him know that I was following his instructions on how I should handle them, and I was trying to gauge where their mentalities were as far as what they wanted to do or not to do. So, in a sense, um, in all honesty, I was kind of working on them to be in his favor. Mm. In all honesty, she was playing her parents. Wow, 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 wow. Oh, really? Right? And I, for one, was one of the people that's like, shame on those parents, right? And they were getting worked by their daughter by way of R. Kelly. Sounds awfully familiar. Awfully familiar. But hold that thought. If y'all already know where I'm going, put it in the chat. Who else worked their parents? When you say working on them to be in his favor, what does that mean? Can you explain a little bit more? Just begging them, pleading with them how much I love him, how much he loves me, and to please don't turn on him. I don't want his career to be ruined. I don't want his secret about me to be true either. So it was just me really trying to get them to not turn on him as it was referenced. Is this a good time to break now? Sure. Thanks, Your Honor. We'll take a 15-minute recess until a quarter to four. All rise. All right, you guys, we're going to stop right there and we're going to continue this at noon. We left off on page 8. What was that? 805. And we're going to continue on page 807. Okay. We're going to continue on page 807. All right. Okay. And I'm going to hopefully, we get into the thick of it because I'm kind of following this story. And again, this sounds awfully familiar to me too, in the aspect of him having these young girls, quote unquote, play their parents. Okay. And because if I remember right, she says something and does something that only those that really are paying attention to details will remember it being brought up. And again, this is the reason why your girl doesn't just read the transcripts. I dissect them thoroughly so I can be able to be like, aha, you know what I'm saying? And I'm having a lot of aha moments in regards to it. Okay, let me put this on the screen because I updated it. What the hey diddle dee? It didn't update. Oh, I didn't save it. Hmm. 807. Okay, let's see if that'll stick. Okay, there we go. We put that back on the screen. That's where we started when we left off at. And we're going to continue on page 8. Oh, Lord, I put the wrong thing. 80. It's 806 for y'all, not 807. That's where we're going to leave off at. Okay. All right, there we go. So we started on page 783 where we heard her relationship, evolve into a third party, which was Lisa Van Allen. Then we also heard her meeting by way of Daryl. Let me skim back. These videotapes were getting handled by Milton Brown. Um, and in lieu of the videotapes getting handled by Milton Brown, we hear about a couple, that the tapes, um, what I'm saying, are now in living color out in the world. And we hear that, the meeting that transpired between Reshonda, her mother, her father, and just R.Kelly, them four in a hotel. And, he tells the dad, and, he's all goo goo boo boo crying and acting fool, which I don't believe that, especially after what he did on Gail King. I do not believe this man is remorseful at all, at no point in time. And I say that because his actions that happened thereafter did not line up with a remorseful man. You know, when a person is remorseful and when they feel horrible about what they did, they stop their behavior. They stopped their behavior. This man was went on to continue to plot and ploy about what to do to cover this up. It wasn't like, no, okay, I confess this to you guys. Wherever the chips fall is where they made because I deserve it. I feel horrible. It's like, okay, it happened, but now you're gonna be on my side or you're not. And then he's been still manipulating Rashana to manipulate her parents. So, this is like a juicy novel, I tell you, but it really is real life for some people, and it's unfortunate to say the utmost least. But I'm going to be back with you guys on this afternoon for the continuation of this transcript, and we're getting closer and closer to the end of this transaction, not transaction, this testimony in regards to Rashana, okay? We are on overall page or whatever, 171 when we come back this afternoon, and it's 217 pages. So we're almost out the thick of it, to where we'll be able to hear more transcripts. Not for nothing, you guys. That is the video. I look forward to hearing and seeing you guys in like a couple of hours. Okay. Thank y'all. And I forgot to welcome you guys. All right, properly with the intro. So at least I'm gonna put it here now. Okay. Thank you guys for tuning in to another installation of Evidence Over Emotions, The Road to Illinois trial for R.Kelly series. See y'all soon. Deuces.
What the hell is wrong with you people? Every famous nigga that gets arrested is not Nelson Mandela? Yes, the government conspires to put a lot of innocent black men in jail on fallacious charges. But R. Kelly is not one of those men. We all know the nigga can sing. But what happened to standards? What happened to bare minimums? You a fan of R. Kelly? You want to help R. Kelly? Then get some counseling for R. Kelly. Introduce him to some older women.